All right, then my guest this Monday afternoon is the Director General of the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, Mr. Segun Ajayi Kadri, to brief us more on the outcome of this very important meeting. DG, good afternoon, and it's good to have you start the show for us this Monday afternoon.
Good afternoon, Tolu. It's always a pleasure to be on your show.
Thank you so much, DG. Looking at manufacturers and customs, there's been a lot of issues before now, back and forth, challenges that manufacturers face, clearing processes, talking about containers being delayed, the amount of checkpoints and all of that, even after leaving the ports. Now you've had this conversation with the customs service, with the leadership in presence and the leadership of MAN in presence. Brief us on some of the key talk points at this gathering. What forms conversation at that table on Friday when you had this discussion?
Okay. The conversation we had with customs is a very strategic one. Strategic in the sense that the two organizations are of significant importance to the Nigerian economy. There can be no successful manufacturing if we do not have a supportive Nigeria Customs Service. And so the dialogue we had was to remove those binding constraints that affect manufacturing, and for us to also address the challenges that customs, even as an institution, faces. So it was a dialogue of partners that whose cooperation is required for the economic development of Nigeria. What we had, even though it was propelled by the introduction of the 4% FOB and the recent suspension of it and the matters arising from it, it dovetailed into several other areas of cooperation. So what we have now agreed is the fact that it had implications for the manufacturing community. We explained to each other that it could, for instance, lead to an astronomical increase in the cost of production, which will be translated into the prices of goods. We agreed that it could limit the capacity of industries to even pay tax, because when your capacity utilization is low, you are going to pay less tax to government because you will sell less. We also agreed that it was going to cause trade diversion and so many other things. And then we came to an agreement that there is need for the exclusion of this vital sector from payment of 4% FOB. So we had an arrangement which will include the Nigeria Customs Service, the Federal Ministry of Finance, and Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, for us to co-create an environment that insulates our members who import raw materials, spare parts, and machines that are not locally available and had to be imported. With this, the country has been saved a possible escalation in the prices of the goods that are manufactured in Nigeria, and that puts an end to the anxiety that we had. We also had other conversations concerning trade facilitation, the delays at the ports, the Bodogu platform that has become an issue for us. We even deliberated on how we could assuage the hardship that we are facing in terms of payment of demurrage. We now have an agreement that is going to allow our members to quickly clear their goods and then have a free flow and stop the stockouts that we are having in some of our industries. We also agreed to create a platform for regular dialogue amongst ourselves, such that if we are going to have any introduction of new measures, new regulations, we will be carried along and we will co-create it in such a way that it will be supportive of our competitiveness, our productivity, and ease of doing business. So it was, at the end of the day, more like a family meeting to reignite the cooperation that we have had before that went into comatose, if I may say, for some years, because the leadership of the Nigeria Customs Service was here at Man House, and we had a very robust engagement. We had a session that allowed us to brainstorm of the challenges with the leadership from both sides, and then we came out with the communique that has been widely circulated, and which is like the document that is going to guide our immediate and future exchanges amongst ourselves.
I'm looking at the Biodogu platforms because I know there's a couple of reports around that and how effective that platform is really. What are the challenges really with it? It's supposed to simplify and ease transactions, but it seems to be a challenge with it because we even have importers and exporters. They've been having concerns regarding this platform.
Yeah, so and that's the beauty of the conversation we had with customs. We both agree that it is a very painful development that we are having glitches with the Bodogu platform that is expected to ease our businesses, expected to ease clearing and make it seamless and more modern. But customs did explain that we are now experiencing teething problems. It is a wholly indigenous solution that was to solve decade-old challenges. And because it is being tried out at the first time, and there are quite a number of connections that needed to have been made, there are quite a number of issues that were not initially expected to cause a lot of challenges for the users. But that is how it has turned. It is a technology and it is work in progress. We received assurance and we could see that customs itself is working day and night to resolve the challenge. We even gave an indicative period of about less than a month for the challenges to be resolved. However, we have since also agreed with customs as to what to do so that our goods do not remain there for a very long time. And that's how our members are able to apply for pre-release of our goods so that we do not suffer demurrage. So I believe that we are in agreement with customs on how to pass through this painful period because it has actually been a harrowing experience for manufacturers. But this is what we've got, and we are in alignment with the ultimate objective of the Bodogu platform, such that we'll be able to have ease at the port. It's very, very important for us, not only for manufacturers, but for the economy and for government itself in terms of revenue generation and in terms of flow of manufacturing process and productivity.
DG, the argument also in some quarters is the fact that when some containers are cleared in the ports and they're released out of the ports, we'll still have stops and checks, sometimes again by customs agents or officers, that they still have to stop this truck. So my question to you really would be, when the container is already cleared from the port, why do we still have checks outside? And all of this, do they not hinder free movement of goods and services across the state? Because I've had a manufacturer tell me that the cost of moving a container from a Papa port to, say, the east or the north is far more than the amount of you even bringing it from either Canada or America or anywhere. I don't know how we would balance this.
It is a big issue, Tolu, and I must be very frank on this very big issue, because one will wonder why it is the same institution that will ensure your clearance at the ports. But again, like I said, this engagement we had allowed us to put all the cards on the table. We actually had a litany of asks, if you will, for customs. And we were able to get some explanation for them, and we were able to provide solutions. So going forward, these checks, whether across the border or within the customs territory, we have clearly outlined how we need to streamline all of those. And we have a committee amongst the two institutions that would deal with these issues. What has been alluded to is the fact that it is not only customs that is present at the port. There are so many agencies that are involved in the process. We have brought them into the arrangement in such a way that anyone that custom is not able to deal with, they will go behind the scene to relate with their counterparts. We have agreed that it is unconscionable for us to continue to have these stoppages, and customs, we believe, is taking steps to make sure that we do not only have an elimination of all these unnecessary stoppages, but the fact that we have very definite timelines for clearing our goods and being assured that once that is done, human interaction will be reduced, because all these challenges come with people using their discretion, people going beyond their brief, to try to perpetrate some practices that one cannot really explain. So it has to do with being straight with each other and being in full understanding of what is expected of us, what is expected of customs, and how we can facilitate a smooth operation of our businesses. We did discuss some also highly very technical issues, some of them bordering on surveillance and how we are going to cooperate. We both agreed that there's need for us to ensure that on both sides, we do not have people who are operating in infraction of the rules and the regulations, and we do not have people extorting manufacturers and all. So it was a comprehensive conversation we had, and we believe that in the next few weeks, we'll be able to see the application of all that we have agreed, because it is a process, and we cannot say because we have put pen to paper, all is done and dusted. We need to move speedily to cooperate with each other and to ensure that all that we have agreed will be able to implement, and we should do that very quickly.
Okay, a step away from that conversation, we will still wrap up with it though, is the fact that last week the Central Bank of Nigeria, after the two-day MPC meeting, decided to loosen 50 basis points, at least eased of the monetary policy rate. So it now stands at 27% after 5 years. The last time we had an easing was 2020. So we have 50 basis points off interest rates now. I know what this means for the real sector, manufacturers like you, and what you've been through regards to high borrowing costs and all of that. How does this come to you? What more are you expecting from the central bank as inflation continues to, decline? GDP figures looking pretty well. What's your outlook? What do you expect? How does this come to you, and what more do you expect from the central bank?
Okay, thank you. It's coming to us as an indication that the CBN is conscious of the fact that the economy is stabilizing and that we are beginning to have the opportunity to set the right parameters for it to grow. That we are having a reduction after 5 years of either freezing or escalating the rates. I think it's an indication that it can be done, and that the economy is working in such a way that we can continue to put policies that suits the reality of the day. 50% basis point is not so much a significant reduction, but like I said, it is an indication that we are going in a different direction. We are hopeful that we are appreciative of this and hopeful that subsequent meetings will lead to even more significant cuts in rates. Because, Tolu, we are still borrowing at between 30 to 35%. And for a manufacturer, this is not the way to go. It's not helpful in terms of what you are going to do with the money. I wonder what you'll be producing if you are borrowing at 30%, that you'll be productive, you'll be competitive, and you'll be able to scale. So what we are still looking for, apart from the fact that special windows should be created to give much, much lower rates, is that there's an easing of the rates by the CBN, which will then allow the commercial banks to be able to develop the appetite for more facilities going to the to businesses, particularly manufacturers. So we see it as a good step in the right direction, but we believe that more will still be done. And we know that the CBN is looking at so many parameters. They are putting everything in the box to be able to agree on what rates are preferable. But I believe that everything is pointing in the direction that we should continue to experience a lowering of the rates, and so that we'll be able to boost investment. I mean, because if all of this is done, we are likely to be able to see more production, more capacity utilization, and we all know that it could potentially lead to reduction in the kind of prices that we have. More now that we are seeing that we have unsold inventory still above the 2 trillion that we mentioned the last time. So there's need for us to be able to work on the cost of production so that we can moderate prices, and then we'll be able to get more Nigerians to buy the goods that we produce. So overall, we see it as a positive development, and we look forward to more rate cuts from the CBN.
More rate cuts, of course, to move the sector forward. But finally, as we move towards the last quarter already, we are getting to the last quarter of the year. We expect manufacturers to start to, production should be at high speed now as we, try to meet up demand moving to the end of the year. I know you had stocks at a time not even explored, and in your stores and all of that. What's the situation with that? What should we expect with production to meet up demand as we move towards the end of the year, DG?
Well, we have what I would call cautious optimism. We know that when we enter the last months of the year, people tend to buy more. At the extent to which that is going to happen this year will continue to depend on how much money we are able to intentionally put in the hands of those who buy, the ordinary Nigerians, and also how we are able to reduce those aspects of our lives that takes away the money. We talk of transportation, we talk of rents, we talk of cost of doing business by the small scale industries. Then we talk about how we continue to reduce insecurity, and so on and so forth. So what the manufacturers are looking forward to is a situation where the last quarter of the year continues to witness improvement away from stability to growth. We are looking forward to a lessening of the anxieties, and of course, the onset of the tax reform laws that government has put in place is leaving a lot of optimism. So manufacturers are sure that from next year, they will have a lessening of the issues that surround taxation. We are also likely to see that the situation in the port, from the conversation we've had with customs, is going to improve. So we are not going to have stock out. We're also going to have free flow of our raw materials that is needed to produce towards the end of the year. We are also seeing a situation where issues like the tax stamp is not introduced, which is going to lead to escalation in prices. We are also seeing a lessening of insecurity challenge across, particularly in the Northeast, though there are still challenges, but everything appears to be looking up to creating an environment that will allow people to be able to do business freely, and that costs will not be escalated. So we have cautious optimism that if we continue to do the things we are doing right, we should have a more prosperous quarter in the last 3 months of the year. And are going into next year, when obviously there will be a lot of politics, government does not leave the economy and focus on politics. I believe that there's an intentional effort of government to stay the focus so that we do not sacrifice our economic development on the altar of local politics.
It's a good way to leave it. Director General Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, Mr. Segun Ajayi-Kadri, it's always a pleasure having you on the program. Thank you so very much.
Yes, thank you, Tolu. Thank you very much.
All right, now still to come on the show, 4 of Nigerian leading financial institutions pay